What's up, everybody? Eagles, Super Bowl champs, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. We are going to talk about Four Nations tournament starting tomorrow. You're listening to Flyers Talk A2D, so hit that like, hit that subscribe, and for all y'all on Twitter, Facebook, if y'all can share it, hit that share button as well. It's time for you and your boys to start talking some puck, Four Nation style. Let's get at it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sitsuti along with the Dark Wing, Brian Daly.
It's good to be the champ. Let's go.
He's traded in his Duck wings, at least for tonight, for Eagles wings. And we have the broken one, Rob Povia.
Happy early Valentine's Day to all you lovers out there.
And
I forgot about that.
And Mr. Blue Shirt, Mr. Broadway, Mr. Switzerland, Big Bad Brad Ryer.
You have an excuse to have forgotten. You have a good excuse. So
No,
I don't have one.
No. There's no excuse. Easy for you to say.
Listen, like I said,
Not too late, though. Not too late.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, despite the issues with Valentine's Day, the day of lovers, which I don't know, is that really a thing? Anyway,
Hallmark holiday, right?
Hallmark holiday, yeah, we'll go with that one. We welcome you to Flyers Talk A2D. Enough of the mushy stuff. Let's talk about some hockey. And we are brought to you by, as always, Specialized Physical Therapy, the Dr. Paul Vidal. If you got any aches and pains that are just giving you no end of grief, hit up the doc. He'll take care of you. And if you make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com and you go to either Burlington or Cherry Hill, New Jersey, he's got great staff in both locations. Once you go there, after a few sessions, you'll feel as good as new. Those aches and pains are going to be a thing of the past. So hit up the doc, Specialized Physical Therapy. And our poll question for tonight is, Team USA has the deepest roster and will win the Four Nations tournament? Agree or disagree? Because we're Team USA and we're going all the way. So with that, do you agree or disagree, gentlemen?
I'm just going to agree on that, on just that notion alone. Team USA, and we're going all the way.
Hell yeah.
No, I actually agree to this. I do think they have the deepest roster, and it's anything that involves Team USA. Obviously, I'm gonna hope that they win. Being as that we're in the U.S., I'm not going to go rooting for Canada. I can tell you that right now. As much as they have a couple players that I really do like on their roster, it's always going to be Team USA. They are always going to win. But I do think they have the deepest from top to bottom. The only thing that I think that their weakness could wind up being is potentially goalie. But I still don't think that's a weakness at all. Hellebuck, Ottinger, Swayman, it's pretty strong. I know Swayman's probably having the worst season of the three, but this is just a fun tournament. Whatever's going on in the season does not matter. So this is an opportunity for these guys to dress and represent their countries. Hopefully they enjoy it. They have a lot of fun doing it. Again, agree to the poll.
All right. And Robbie, how do you feel about Team USA?
Well, you can debate between who is better forward-wise, Canada or USA. But, boys, we're starting to see a strong shift in young American talent overcoming the force that is Canada. However, I think it's a huge difference between the pipes, Brian, as I feel USA has the deciding edge with Hellebuck, Ottinger. I know Swayman's been down, but it's a short tournament. You go with the hot hand, and even coming from their respective teams play. But you compare that to Team Canada with Jordan Binnington, Hill, and Montalban, I feel the deciding edge right there is USA. Whoever stands out is going to have one hell of a defense playing in front of them. Both squads have, all-star level defense. In the end, I think it's the youth of the forwards and the scoring that you're going to get from all four lines versus Team Canada that's a little longer in the tooth, Brad.
I think Canada's got the best roster, except in goal. I do. I think in goal, Sweden has the best has the best goaltender in the lot as far as based on this year's statistics with Gustafsson. But Connor Hellebuck is a hell of a goalie, and he's certainly a better choice than Hill on Canada. See, the problem I have, guys, is I look at Canada and I look at their roster, and I look at that first line, and we a long time ago we mentioned the greatest first line we ever saw was Gretzky, Lemieux, and either Messier or Prop at left wing. And to take a look at Canada, and you have McKinnon, McDavid, and who's the other one now? I can't remember. Sid.
Yeah.
Line. I mean, Jesus, that's just downright rude to have a line like that. And then on your power play, you can put Reinhardt in as your in front goal presence. I mean, don't go shorthanded against that team. That's all I can say. Yeah, if you go to the penalty box against Canada, you're going to lose. USA, however, the one advantage I think they have over everybody is that they pretty much combine talent and grit. And you know me, I love my tough, gritty players, and they've got some tough, gritty players on their team. USA. I mean, you look at guys like the Tukachuks, Nelson, Miller, Bodie. That's a pretty tough group of forwards. Trocheck as well. The one thing that they're not going to be outgritted. That's for sure. And a lot of times, when you have two great teams, two great defensive teams too, and goaltending is very important. The gritty players sometimes do win. I like Canada in the tournament just because I just think that they have the most talent, but USA definitely has a shot to win this thing. And don't count out Sweden.
It's true.
Don't count them completely out.
So let's take a look here at our preview of the games. So the games are going to happen within a 2-week span. Not going to be a very long tournament, obviously. The games will be tomorrow. There'll be Canada versus Sweden, and then Thursday we'll have the U.S. up against Finland, and then February 15th, Saturday, Finland and Sweden, and the U.S. and Canada. So big primetime matchup right there. You have the Battle of Scandinavia at the beginning of the day, and then you have to end the night the Battle for North America. And then all of these games are happening in the Bell Center, so Canada will have home ice in that particular game.
It's key.
Then, yeah, it is key. And then the scene switches over to Boston, and on the 17th on Monday, Canada will take on Finland, the U.S. will take on Sweden, and then that Thursday will be the championship game. So that will be how this whole thing's going to run.
Right, and basically whoever has the most points after that round robin format will be placed, one final game. That's it, because, boys got to get back to their NHL seasons. But to your point, Maddie, a bulk of that round robin, 2 of the team's 3 games are going down in Canada.
Right. A good amount of them. But let's see here. Let's take a look at the rosters as we dive further on in here. Canada, as we alluded to before, their forwards that they're sporting is Sam Bennett of the Panthers, Anthony Cirelli of the Lightning, Crosby of the Penguins. Don't know if you've heard of him. Brandon Hagel of the Lightning, Seth Jarvis of the Hurricanes, TK of our beloved Philadelphia Flyers, Nathan McKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche, Brad Marchand, the biggest asshole in the NHL right now, with the Boston Bruins, Mitch Marner, Toronto Maple Leafs, Connor McDavid, the Edmonton Oilers. By the way, Mitch Marner thinks he's a god. Braden Point, Tampa Bay Lightning, Sam Reinhart of the Florida Panthers, Mark Stone of the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, forwards-wise, Canada is pretty damn loaded, to say the least, with that. That will put pretty much any team in the NHL to shame right there if you were sporting that. Besides
Any team in
that,
the world.
yeah, that's a pretty damn good forward core right there. I would dare you to find a better one. Defenseman, moving on, you've got Drew Doughty for the Kings. He was a replacement for Alex Pietrangelo. And then Cale Makar of the Avalanche, Josh Morrissey of the Jets, Colton Parayko of the Blues, Travis Sanheim, once again, of our Philadelphia Flyers, which I got to give him credit for breaking through because there's a lot of options, but he got through all of them to get here. And Shea Theodore of the Golden Knights, and Devon Taves of the Colorado Avalanche. And then in goal, Jordan Bennington, Aiden Hill of the Vegas Golden Knights, Bennington of the Blues, and Sam Montembeault of the Montreal Canadiens. So after seeing this roster, I would say that, yeah, definitely the biggest glaring question mark would be goaltending. Bennington is still capable of putting on good games, so it's not like he's completely washed up. Hill can surprise you, as he surprised us the year that the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup. Montembeault, though, is a wild card. I will give them that he could come out of nowhere and really show up in this tournament here. Because Montreal's obviously, have been playing pretty damn well above their expectations this year. So Montembeault might be a wild card there for us, gentlemen, for Team Canada in goal.
No, for sure. And with how well that Montreal's been playing this year and taking steps forward, Montembeault's numbers are pretty damn good. He's at 3 goals against average, pretty spot on there. And his save percentage is probably still has a lot to be desired at a 8.97, but that's still a pretty respectable number for a team that's in the position that they're in. Career numbers are pretty much the same as what he's posting this year. So consistency is a good thing. But I do think that what Rob said is actually a very good point. This is a short tournament. Got to ride the hot hand. I think the first couple games we'll see Aiden Hill. We'll see one of every goal in the first 3 games, see who kind of starts to heat up. And then whoever heats up, they're going to take the lead, and they're just going to run with them.
Right. Let's see here. Next up, we have Finland. Finland's team is, with their forwards, they have Sebastian Aho, the one that's on the Carolina Hurricanes, because there are 2 of them. And then Joel Armia of the Canadiens, Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers. I'm still shocked that he's Finnish because it does not have a Finnish name. Mikael Granlund of the Dallas Stars, Eric Howla of the New Jersey Devils.
Russian.
A lot of people did. Turns out, no, he's Finnish. Rupe Hintz of the Dallas Stars, Capo Caco of the Seattle Kraken. You might know him a little bit, Brad, just a little
Crapo.
bit. Patrick Laine of the Montreal Canadiens, Arturi Lehkonen of the Colorado Avalanche, Anton Lundell of the Florida Panthers, Eetu Luosterainen of the Florida Panthers as well, Mikko Rantanen of the Hurricanes, and Teuvo Teravainen of the Chicago Blackhawks. That is not a bad forward core right there. That's a pretty damn good one right there that Finland's sporting too.
No, Finland, like Sweden, is always going to be a team that is going to be always sneaky good because they have very sneaky good players. The way that the game is evolving right now, it absolutely benefits guys who play for Sweden and Sweden. It's just a European flashy speed type of game, and that's what these guys are raised to play when they're sitting there and when they're younger, going through the ranks and trying to figure out if they're going to be pros or not. They play speed, they play finesse, they don't really play a physical game. They don't really get to that point until they, obviously hit a certain age, and then it's go time. But these guys, you never count out Finland, and like Robbie said earlier, you never count out Sweden.
No, never. So let's see here what they're sporting on defense. On defense, they're sporting Henry Jokiharju of the Buffalo Sabres. He was coming in for Vakanainen. Jokiharju were added as injury replacements for Miro Heiskanen and Yanni Hakanpää of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Esa Lindell for the Dallas Stars is on there. Oli Mata of the Utah Hockey Club. Nico Mikkola of the Florida Panthers, one of my new favorite names in the NHL.
Very tough player, by the way.
Yes, he is.
He hits everything that moves, and he's got a little bit of that Kachuk in him.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's a little how do I put this? Marchand like, very temperamental, and will give you an extra little slash when the referees aren't looking.
Right.
How to add that.
And then let's see here, Nicholas Montempalo, who was also a replacement because Rasmus Ristolainen of our Flyers is available for that, which is a shame because poor Risto has a good season. He's getting chosen to be on Team Finland, and what happens? He gets injured. It's like, of course, poor guy just cannot catch a break.
Yeah, but he did make the team though.
He did. But to be
fair,
fair, though,
for the Flyers, it's probably good because he'll get a couple of weeks off to be ready to play when it really matters.
Right. I'd rather have him rest up and heal up and miss this tournament than have him try to play through it and hurt himself more and then try to play for the Flyers later on. But let's see here. And then to finish up their defensive core, you have Uro Vakanainen of the New York Rangers, which I'll get an opinion from you in a second, Brad, and UC Valimaki of the Utah Hockey Club. So feel free to let us know about Vakanainen and how he can do for Team Finland.
He's a good defensive defenseman. Okay, he's not gonna add much offensively, although he did get a pretty big goal on Saturday night. He got the tying goal off the deflection from Cooley. But he's more or less a stay-at-home defenseman. He'll hit you when he needs to hit. He's not a bad player, but I mean, I have to be honest. He's more of a third pairing type of defenseman in the NHL. So, I mean, he's if you look at him and you compare him to some of the other players in the league, that might be a problem. I wouldn't want him on my top 4. That's for sure.
Well, that is also the reason why he's coming in to fill in for Hakanpää, who was out with an injury.
Well, also, what's his name? Miro
Heiskanen
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Euro didn't do much in Anaheim either. He actually didn't get a ton of playing time either. He kind of had it and then he lost it. So.
Well, he got hurt. I mean, he was just getting healthy when he came to the Rangers. So.
Him being hurt had nothing to do with it. I mean, with Anaheim, you had at the time Fowler, you had Lacombe, Mintyukov, Tristan Luneau, Brian Dillman just came in. I'm blanking on the other big one, but he lost his spot.
He's not, but he's not better than any of those guys.
Well, yeah, that's exactly my point.
I know that, but you give the guy a chance to play though, and sometimes they play better. I think he's been playing pretty darn well for the Rangers, to be honest with you. But
I can't believe I'm saying it, but Trouba's been pretty decent for the Ducks too.
Yeah, Trouba. I mean, look, Trouba had to go. It just it was time, for the divorce to happen with him and the Rangers. So that had to happen. And I wish him well. He never did anything terrible for me to not like him, other than the fact that I wish he would have just let them trade him to the Red Wings because they would have gotten more for him. But that's okay, whatever.
Yeah, it was a good hockey trade. I liked it for both sides.
Yeah, the Rangers needed the cap space too.
Ducks needed to take cap space.
And to finish up the Finnish roster, their goaltending core is Kevin Lankinen of the Vancouver Canucks, which give Lankinen a lot of credit. He kind of came in as, I would say, a relative unknown rolling into the year, and he's been proving himself pretty well for the Vancouver Canucks. So got to give him a lot of credit. Then Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Buffalo Sabres, another awesome name. And UC Saros, again, no shocker that he's here on the Nashville Predators.
I would say he's going to be playing every game. Just pretty much every minute of every game.
I would say if Finland was to get to the championship, I would say the two guys most likely that could be representing Finland, if they're in there, would either be Lankinen or would be Saros. It would be one of the two.
Yeah, I don't see Luukkonen in there. Although Luukkonen's been playing better with Buffalo as of late.
Again, could be a
Buffalo
possibility.
Buffalo had a very good homestand right at the end, right before the season came to a break. I think they swept their 4-game homestand. I think they lost their their last game, but they were playing well and he was playing well. So we'll see about that. But he's okay. He's not a bad goalie. Buffalo's defense is just not good.
Right. So we'll take a quick break from the roster breakdown here, go over some of the starred comments that I got here from the fam. Mike, what's up, brother? Saying, disagree. I have Team Canada because of Travis Konechny. Got to cheer the Fly Guys. I will say I understand why you're cheering the Fly Guys, but nah, right now I'm wearing the red, white, and blue. So right now it's like, nope, not rooting for TK. Not rooting for TK this time.
I am rooting for TK to stay healthy.
Right. I am rooting for that. That's it.
Well,
as long as he stays healthy.
And Harrison.
Root for him to score a lot of goals and have the
Not
team
against
lose.
the U.S. Not against the U.S.
Right.
Nope. He can score as many as he wants on Sweden and Finland.
Think about what a good player he is, and he's been a really good player. He's probably going to play on the fourth line for that team.
Oh man!
I mean, that's a damn good player to be on the fourth line.
Yeah.
Their forwards are something else.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a challenge because it's a loaded front core. It's tough. It's great to see him even get there anyway, to be even considered for the roster, considering how loaded that front core is to begin with. That's why I got to give the nod to Travis Sanheim for breaking through. Give credit to him.
You make Canada's roster. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Because you think of all the really good players that aren't there. Cole Caulfield didn't make it, and hell, they're playing the games in Montreal. You would think that they would have put him on the team, just to have a hometown hero on the team.
Right. But yeah,
there is something to that, right?
Well, there is. And let's see here. Benny's saying, does the fact that this tournament being in the middle of the season rather than the beginning of the season favor a younger team like the U.S.? It depends, because there's two sides of this argument. If you have a young team full of rookies who are not used to the NHL grind, this might actually be a negative, because it doesn't give them a chance to rest up and recharge the batteries. Like, for example, I am so happy there's no Team Russia. This is one of the few times that terrible things happening in the world pay off for the Flyers. Why? Because Michkov can rest, and that's important. Yeah. He actually gets to rest for these couple of weeks and recharge the batteries.
I heard you say that, and I'm like, where is he going to go with this?
That's
I was very, very, very concerned for about a minute. He said, so Michkov can rest. Because you know what? I could not agree with that more. It's a kid that's played a lot of hockey. It's a kid who's got a lot on his brain right now. And Torts even said it in his pregame presser before the game on Saturday against Pittsburgh. He wants to see this kid take an opportunity to get some rest. Just absolutely get away from the game for 2 weeks and just hit the reset button, take some time and chill, and get back to the grind in 2 weeks.
Right. Right.
Inversely, real quick, Maddie, because Brinkman commented earlier in the show in regard to feeling that this tournament shouldn't be taking place during the season, that it should be either, love the concept, but it shouldn't be in season. How do you boys feel about that? Because I feel that if they did hold this in the preseason a la the WBC, that would be a little better to address the previous commenter's point. But traditionally, it's always been, middle of the season, whether you're talking the Olympics or other international tournaments.
I mean, the way I see it, I think that this is. I don't really think it's that big of a deal that it's in the middle of the year because I feel like this one actually adds a little bit more excitement to it. Nothing against the concept of the All-Star tournament being a 3-on-3. I like the fact that they revamped it to try and add a little bit more juice to it by doing a 3-on-3 format. It's like, okay, I get it because 3-on-3 overtimes are one of the best things that they've added in the last 10 years. So I absolutely can understand that concept, but even then it still gets a little stale. Because what are the players playing for? It's a sense of pride to win something for your country, no matter what it is. Even if it's something as simple as this, where, you're in the middle of a hard-fighting, grinded out 82-game season in the NHL, but in the middle, you get a chance to play for your country, and you get to try and win something for your country. To me, that's a big deal. And for hockey players, it's always a big deal to get a chance to play.
And plus, in a short-lived tournament, you go immediately to game sevens, right? And playing with the best in the world. And I think it's virtually impossible not to bring that back to your club for the second half. So you have these players that are playing on mediocre teams a la the Philadelphia Flyers, and they're bringing back all these little pearls of wisdom, this really positive mojo from hopefully going on and winning the tournament. That's going to bring that back to their respective teams, and I really feel that's going to be for the betterment of the Flyers come second half. I mean, maybe we don't want to see Canada win it all, but at least the experience that Konechny, Sandheim, and Eriksson on Team Sweden will bring back to Philadelphia.
True. And, I will say this, though. I do kind of get, though, where the negative aspect of it is. And I know, Bri, you brought this up to me, actually, off mic, of how will this, how will this affect the Flyers? You were basically saying that to me. And, it works both. I think it actually kind of works out a little decently for the Flyers because I think there's enough players that are resting. And yes, there are some players that are playing, but I think it's a good mixture of some players are going, others are getting a chance to rest. And for a young team like the Flyers, a lot of the younger players resting is a good thing. Like TK playing is not really as big of a deal because TK's been through several years in the NHL. He can handle it. I'm sure, in no doubt in my mind, he can handle it. Tack on a few games for Canada, that's just Tuesday for him. So, I think that it would be fine. Sandheim the same way. He's played a few years in the NHL. They're used to the grind. This doesn't really change that for them, Whereas for somebody like Michkov, if there was a Team Russia, I would actually not be okay with him playing because, like I said before, it'd be too much. It'd be too much for him, because he's playing the most hockey he's ever played in his life.
Sure.
And still learning the ropes of the NHL. He's having a really great rookie year, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to tack on to the stress level, for him, in my opinion.
Sure. And out of the players that are representing the Philadelphia Flyers, you're talking about the team leadership, right? An assistant captain, top line defenseman, and your starting goaltender. So consider it a leadership retreat to further this rebuild. And then you have the young pups, like not even Michkov. Let's look at Tyson Forrester. I'm sure he can benefit from this break. Bobby Brink has looked a little slower lately. So I'm sure he's going to benefit from this rest. So ultimately, I think this does really benefit the Flyers.
Right. How do you guys feel?
I'm not crazy about the concept of having it early, before the season. I kind of like it in this part of the season because everybody's in top notch hockey shape.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think the quality of the game is going to be better. And from the NHL standpoint, you have to look at it this way. Okay, you're not competing with football. If you do it in September, okay, you're competing with baseball. You're competing with football.
Hmm.
Okay. And right now, this is the dead time. So you're going to get a lot more people watching. The only competition now is the NBA. And, hockey fans are going to watch hockey. Nobody gives a crap about basketball, but hockey fans will watch football and baseball too.
Wouldn't it be funny if this tournament draws more than the middle of the season tournament that the NBA was hosting?
It might.
It might. Yeah,
It,
I'm with
it
Brad. It
might.
might.
It might. I just feel like, you know what? If you're playing in the middle of the season, everybody is ready to go and everybody's in top shape. I don't like the idea of coming off of your summer vacation, okay, and go right to the Stanley Cup Finals before you even have training camp. I really don't like that idea.
Yeah.
That's how you get your guys hurt. That's how you get them all tired out. They're tired before they start the season, and I hate that. Right now, they're all in top notch shape. They've been playing all the time. They're all ready to go, and probably they've been looking forward to this since since probably the 30 game mark.
And Brad, to your point, that's been a concern for the WBC guys playing in such high intensity games at a point where their bodies aren't quite ready for it, and there has been injury.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I like them playing this time of year. I get it playing before then, in the beginning before the season starts, not to interrupt the season. But listen, they don't get the kind of buys that they get in football. Baseball, they have their All-Star break where they go from Sunday to Friday before they play again. It's not a bad idea to have this. I mean, do I miss turning on the TV right now and popping my guys on? Yeah, of course I do. But all in all, I think it's better as for the game that they don't have to compete with baseball and football.
Right.
I mean, Saturday night, everybody's going to be watching that USA Canada game. Everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to worry about an NFL game. Okay, you don't have to worry. The NBA. People who are basketball fans will watch the NBA, but the casual fan is going to watch this game.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time.
I think the one thing that we are also missing is, and I think this is a big thing, is this is an opportunity for some of these guys that don't play in the IIHF World Championship. Gives them an opportunity to play for their country in a completely different type of environment, which I think it's still going to be a pretty intense environment. But let's be real. Once that World Championship starts, it's a completely different story. And I think that's another reason why they do it. They're planning on doing it mid-season is because the World Championships are essentially taking place during the Stanley Cup playoffs. So the 2025 IHF World Championships are going to be from Friday, May 9th to Sunday, May 25th. So even if you had any kind of plan to try and even post or kind of put it off until the end of the season, you really can't do that because you have that tournament every year.
Right.
You want to do it before the season, but you want to do something different from the All-Star break, but still give you that All-Star type of feel based off of how guys are playing within the season. This is the best route to go. And then obviously every couple of years you have to worry about the Olympics too. But I mean, I think this is a good opportunity to really let some of these guys represent their country that aren't going to get it as far as going to, say, playing for Team USA, for IHF, Canada for the same thing, like World Juniors, World Championships. It's an opportunity for some of these other guys to get a chance to rep their country. And I love it. But in my personal opinion, I think all these nation tournaments that are happening right now, I think there's a lot of them. So I don't think this is going to be as special as a lot of people think it's going to be. I do think it's going to be fun, but it's not like, it's not like playing for the Olympics where it's every 2 to 4 years. It's not like playing for the World Juniors where, it's an every year tournament, but only select players get to play. It's not like the
Right.
World Championships where, again, same situation, only certain players get to play. But I think it's a fun opportunity to kind of do something different because the All-Star game was extremely stagnant. I still think it's going to be fun. I still think it's going to be a good time, but I don't think it's going to be as special as some people think it's going to be.
Greg, just to let you know, because you were asking the question, the reason why there is no Team Russia is because Russia has been banned from international play in hockey, period, because of the war in the Ukraine. That is why. So because of political reasons, Russia is not allowed to participate in international competition. That's why in the Olympics, Russia does not have a team currently. Neither
And
does
Kazakhstan
Belarus.
Kazakhstan can't play either.
Right, because of the participation.
Because they're helping.
Yes. So just to inform everybody why Russia is not allowed in this tournament or has not been allowed to be participating in any of the IIHF tournaments in recent history. It's because of that reason.
Such a fun tournament, though. I love the double IHF.
They have some great tournaments. And in case anyone's ever wondering why they never have it in Canada and the US, it's because of that reason too, that it's happening right when the Stanley Cup playoffs is happening at that time. So be a little hard to pull that off.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see here. Let's jump back in to the rosters here, finish them up. We'll of course see if our beloved Team USA for last. Sweden next. See what their forward core is throwing out. They have Victor Arvidsson of the Edmonton Oilers, Jesper Bratt of the New Jersey Devils. Oh, so he's Swedish. I was wondering what country he was from. Leo Carlson of the Anaheim Ducks, your beloved Anaheim Ducks.
Leo.
Joel Eriksson Ek of the Minnesota Wild, one of the more beloved Minnesota Wilds out there. Philip Forsberg of the Nashville Predators, Adrian Kempe of the Los Angeles Kings, Elias Lindholm of the Boston Bruins, William Nylander of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Gustav Nyquist of the Nashville Predators, Elias Pettersson of the Vancouver Canucks, Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings, Ricard Raquel of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the former Anaheim Duck, who is replacing William Karlsson of Wild Bill because he is currently injured. And that's a tough loss for Sweden, by the way, to not have Wild Bill available to them.
Yeah.
And Mika Zibanejad for the Rangers is finishing up that forward core right there. I got to say, though, even though they've have some pretty good players on this team on the forward core, that is a tough loss to not have Wild Bill because he is such a clutch player.
Yeah,
It's a tough loss, but that's still a strong forward squad. And to be honest,
goaltending, and they have an exceptional goaltender right now. The guy who's ready. He's been playing great season.
Right. What were you saying, Robbie?
Basically, Sweden's my dark horse to win this, and I wanted you to get to the defense and the goalies too because it is a strong squad.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into that then. Defense, Rasmus Andersson of the Calgary Flames, Jonas Brodin of the Minnesota Wild, Rasmus Dahlin of the Buffalo Sabres, Matthias Ekholm of the Edmonton Oilers, Gustav Forsling of the Florida Panthers, Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Erik Karlsson of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the former San Jose Shark. And then for the goalies, we have, of course, Sammy Ersson, who is replacing Jacob Markstrom of the New Jersey Devils. Hey, every now and again, it's nice to see the Flyers beat the Devils in something. And on top of that, Philip Gustafsson of the Minnesota Wild and Linus Ullmark of the Ottawa Senators, rounding out the goaltending and defensive cores for the land of the Three Kings.
One last thing about Sweden, I think Philip Forsberg could win like tournament MVP or whatever award they give. Like he could absolutely dominate this format. So watch out for him.
Oh yeah. I like honestly like
a lot of speed on that team.
He took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's big. As long as it gets said.
I don't know what to tell you.
As long as it gets said. The one thing I do like, this defense is big.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very big body defense, and they're gonna wear teams down. So
teams
are gonna have to bring it.
I mean, you throw out Carlson, you throw out Hedman, you throw out Dahlin, you throw out Brodeen. I mean, my God, these are some big bodies. Anderson, I mean, whew, that's a defense I wouldn't mind seeing on the Flyers. I'll tell you that right now.
That's a nasty defense.
That's a mean defense right there. You don't want to go up against them.
They're
And
gonna have a nice power play too when you look at some of the players they have, especially at the point.
Mhm.
You have Carlson and Head at the point. Ooh.
yeah, that's a rough team to go up against on the other side of the blue line. Meanwhile, of course, goaltending wise, I'd like to see Sammy pull out some nice little tricks here and there, of course, except against the U.S. Meanwhile, Gustafson and Ullmark, it's interesting. I got to give Ullmark a lot of credit, man. You know, a guy who kind of was languishing in Buffalo. He has a great season with Boston, and he hasn't played poorly. You know, he continues to excel. So I give Ullmark a lot of credit. And, I mean, Gustafson, I would have to feel, though, and you might disagree with me, I would have to say if they're in the championship, it would be mostly him. I think that would get them there.
He's been red hot this year. He's playing real well. Just look at his stats. I mean, I was a little surprised when I was looking at that. I was like, I didn't realize. How often do we get to see Minnesota?
But at the same, but at the same time, Minnesota's having an amazing season, and it's no small part because of him.
They've even won with Kiprusoff out. I mean, that's impressive. It's like they barely missed a beat.
Right.
Like the Capitals did with Ovechkin. It's like, oh, really? You guys are still winning?
Deep team, great coaching.
Yep. Yeah. So that is Team Sweden. And now time for us to finish up with Team USA. The forwards.
USA.
Starting off from the Minnesota Wild, ironically, we were just talking about their goaltender, Matt Boldy, joining Team USA here. Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets, who is an exceptional player. Jack Eichel, of course, no shocker there, of the Vegas Golden Knights. Jake Gensel of the Tampa Bay Lightning, the former Pittsburgh Penguin. Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils, again, not a shocker he's here. Chris Kreider of the New York Rangers, not a shocker that Kreider's here. Dylan Larkin of the Red Wings, no surprise. Austin Matthews, of course, Toronto Maple Leafs, probably the best U.S. player currently in the world. J.T. Miller of the Rangers, Brock Nelson of the Islanders, Brady Tkachuk of the Ottawa Senators, and his brother Matthew Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers, and Vinny Trocheck of the New York Rangers. So, hey, Brad, you got 3 New York Rangers who are going to be
4 if you count Fox.
Well, yeah, but 3 on the forward core alone, right there. So you got 3 Rangers in that forward core.
one thing about Trocheck though, Trocheck is, I believe, second in the NHL right now, or first in faceoff percentage winning.
Oh, that's a huge thing for
Team USA that's right a thing. So that USA in a big defensive spot, he's going to be out on the ice to take those faceoffs.
Yeah,
And then defensive-wise, we got Brock Faber of the Wild, Adam Fox, like you said, of the Rangers, Noah Hannafin of the Vegas Golden Knights, Charlie McAvoy of the Boston Bruins, Jake Sanderson of the Ottawa Senators, coming in to replace Quentin Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks, which does suck because that's kind of a big loss for the U.S. Jacob Slavin of the Carolina Hurricanes, and Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then in goal, we have Jeremy Swayman of the Boston Bruins. We have Jake Ottinger of the Dallas Stars and Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets. My God, that goaltending trio right there is enough to make the toughest, meanest hockey team of offense weep right there. That is a nasty 3-man team right there for goaltending.
Love having Hellebuck, though. Boy, oh boy.
I
think he's the best goaltender in the tournament right now.
I mean, when you look at all 3 of those, right? Yeah,
and I think that's where the USA has a huge advantage over Canada.
Absolutely.
And one thing, the USA is going to hit Canada, and they're going to hit them, and they're going to hit them hard, and they're going to hurt them, and it won't be fun in the third period going up against that team.
Sure, because let's not forget there's another Flyer. there's another Flyer that's here in Four Nations, and that's Coach John Tortorella on the USA bench. So
Right.
not only will he be bringing that snarl and his style of coaching to Team USA, but also too what he brings back from this tournament, I think will be invaluable to the Philadelphia Flyers.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, Mike said Torts gets a Sirianni buzz cut. Imagine. I would actually kind of laugh if he did that, to be honest with you. But hey, if he wins a championship for Team USA and maybe be able to transition that to the Flyers, I ain't fucking complaining. I can tell you that right now.
Nah, man, listen, if it works for the Eagles, why not see if it can work for the Flyers? But I don't see Torch doing that.
No, I don't think so. At his age, he's just like, why the fuck would I do that? But anyway.
Still coming down.
Yeah. What's up, Swoopy? Glad to see you back, brother. But yeah, I mean, conceivably speaking, I mean, if Team USA went to the championship, you could argue and say you could go with either three of them and you'd be pretty safe for the most part. You wouldn't have to worry about much.
You would be. I would have confidence in all three of them.
I absolutely do. I would just be like,
I would just have more confidence with Hellebuck, though.
I mean, yeah, that's understandable. It's going to be weird too, cheering for Jeremy Swayman. I'm used to cheering against him. So
yeah.
Jack Hughes too, for that matter.
That too, yeah.
He's been playing. He's been playing a lot better since the coaching change.
I will say it was weird cheering in 2010 for Team USA when Ryan Miller was the goaltender and Zach Parise was one of the best scorers on the team. So it's like, that was weird. That was pretty damn weird, to say the least.
Listen, we've had some pretty good players. We had LaFontaine, we had Hull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is by far the deepest team we've ever had.
I think that's true because I mean
we've got a lot of really good players now. I mean, we've got five. In my opinion, you have 5 superstars on the team, and that's unheard of with USA hockey.
And under 26, right? Am I wrong with that?
No, I think you're right.
This is a
pretty young squad right here.
Yeah. Are we going to argue about Connor, Eichel, Getzel, Hughes, Matthews?
Swoopy saying, you think so, Brad? Really?
Yeah. Larkin's 28. All right, under 28.
All right, under 28. Okay. But they're under 30. Under 30. Let's go with that one. Yeah. But, I mean, it's cool. It's crazy to think about, too, because with U.S. hockey, how much it's grown in just the last few decades. Because, I mean, we went many years with Mike Modano being the standard bearer for U.S. hockey. And then you had good players in the mix. Like you said, Brett Hull, Jeremy Roenick. They were all really great U.S. players. But then you tack on, a few years later, you get Patrick Kane and you get Zach Parise. And you get several other great U.S.-born players that come out of there. And now you've got this team. Now you've got guys like Austin Matthews, who's arguably the best scorer in the league. The only person who argues with him is Connor McDavid. So it's just like, that's like, damn, that a lot has changed for the U.S. in such a short amount of time.
The depth of this roster is crazy.
I mean, you look at their roster. I mean, Connor is a legitimate 40-goal scorer. Yeah, Eichel is an unquestioned great player. Getzel can put the puck in the net with anybody. Jack Hughes is one of the top players in the league. Austin Matthews, obviously. This is a freaking good team. They got guys who can score goals. I just don't know. Like in the third and fourth lines, how that would really match up with Canada. It's going to be tough because Canada is they're really good.
But the good news is that you have the goaltending to at least.
Yes. We'd have a huge advantage over Canada.
Right. So if say a defensive pair is struggling or you have a lower lines or not getting the proper matchups, you at least have good goaltending to, if you make a mistake, it can bail you out at the end of the day, which is such an important part in surviving a grind, no matter what it is, whether it's a quick tournament or it's an 82-game season. And that's, I mean, hell.
Don't sleep on Jake Gensel, too. You know, like I'm telling you, it is a good talented squad.
It is.
I'm gonna sit there and say, don't sleep on Matt Boldy.
No,
Yeah.
don't
Matt
sleep on
Boldy
Boldy.
is an absolute stud for Minnesota. He deserves everything that he's getting. He's probably one of the most underrated players in the league right now. He's definitely one of the most under the radar. He is going to do so much. Like when your fourth line center is probably going to be Vincent Trocheck, that's a deep squad.
That is.
Oh yeah.
That's a pretty
That's a
deep
deep squad.
squad.
But I'm gonna say keep an eye on Matt Boldy. I think he's gonna have a hell of a tournament.
Yeah, and you did bring up a good name with Jake Gensel, because Gensel, you know, I hated him when he played for the Penguins, and there's a reason for that. That motherfucker would show up in clutch situations for Pittsburgh many times.
Yeah, he was.
So
And you know what? And I know I used to think that it was because of Crosby, but then when I traded to Carolina last year, how dominant was he in the playoffs?
Yeah.
You know, he was
He-
really good.
he was one of the few examples of, yeah, it wasn't actually just Crosby elevating his game. The guy actually can play. He isn't Tyler Kennedy. So
I'll be honest with you boys, and I get why he's not playing, but if we had the best of the Quinn brothers playing on this roster, I would feel a lot more comfortable with Team USA. But with Quinn not being in and Quinn being out,
that
it is a hit. But the fact that you're replacing him with Jake Sanderson says a lot. But I'd be a little bit more comfortable with Quinn Hughes in the lineup.
right.
Oh yeah. Well, Quinn Hughes is one of the top defensemen in the league.
Top 3 easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, right now probably Bakar, Hedman, and then him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
So
You know, I'd like to put Fox in there, but he's probably like 6th or 7th.
I think you have to have Sanderson on his team, though. He comes from the U.S. national team development, so it's like he's going to be like that true, like, you know, the amateur athlete that we used to root for once back in 1980. Like, kind of brings like that little feel to it, and to his benefit, I played him a few times DFS this year. He's been a solid defenseman, gets a lot of block shots and hits, and he's been. He deserves this opportunity.
1,000%, Robbie. Couldn't agree more.
and that's going to benefit with John Tortorella as coach, because if there's one thing Torts loves, it's block shots.
Yes.
We've had to see that firsthand.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So Swoopy's saying Matthew seems like he should be a winger, not a center. He also says, who's the USA's youngster on the Sabres? He's really good. Let's see here.
He's not on the roster. I think he's talking about Tage Thompson.
Yeah, I think that's who he's talking
H.
about.
Thompson's missed too much time.
It could be Tage Thompson. It could be Jack Quinn or Zach Benson. Those are the 3 that I'm thinking of.
Meanwhile, Heather throwing out the American flags right
There's
there.
3.
Swoopy says yes. I'm guessing Tage Thompson was the correct answer there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a little jacked up right now, though. He took that hit from in a game last week, and he just got absolutely crushed. Oh no, I locked it. Oh well, never mind. I'm not getting that then.
So with the look at these rosters, gentlemen, do we have any early predictions? I say early, like the tournament's months away. It's tomorrow it starts. But what do you think? Who do you think takes it? Do you think it's going to be another team other than the USA?
USA.
I'm going USA.
USA. Let's go.
Keeping that pride. It's all red, white, and blue here.
USA. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Sweden 2, Canada 3, Finland 4.
So that would be
Okay.
nice. That would be nice
Okay.
to rub it in like that.
Robbie,
I'll be nervous if it works out to be USA Sweden in the final, though. I'll be real nervous there.
Yeah.
I'd be better with it, and be careful what you wish for, because Canada is capable of winning any hockey game. So, but I would feel a little bit more secure that USA could outbeat them. With, we beat it to a dead horse, but between the pipes.
Right. Brad, how do you feel?
Got to go with Canada. I want the USA to win. I hope USA destroys them, but Canada just their roster just looks really good, and I think they're going to play well enough defensively that they'll overcome any goaltending weaknesses. I mean, it's not like they have bad goalies in the net. They just don't.
Right.
Their goalies just aren't quite as they don't quite measure up to Hellebuck.
Right.
Right.
And if you play outstanding defense in front of any of them, it won't matter really.
Correct.
Right.
And
Yeah,
the other thing is, I'm looking at Canada and I'm thinking about their power play, and I'm just sitting there just shaking my head like, oh my god, that line, that first you put that first line out there, and then you throw Reinhardt in front to stand in front of the net. You know, you take one penalty against that team, it's probably going to be a goal.
I do like the idea of Team USA's penalty kill, though. Looking at this roster, I mean, Chris Kreider, obviously one of the better penalty killers in the league.
Oh, he's a great
Dylan
penalty
Larkin,
killer. Yeah, I
JT
agree.
Miller. Obviously, you look at the defense. The defense
Trocheck.
is solid. Like Trocheck's a good. Like there's so many guys that you can utilize on the penalty kill for Team USA. I think that they could challenge Canada's power play for sure.
Hopefully so.
Yes, Brock Nelson's another one, Robbie. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, he's another one that does a good job of penalty killing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've got a lot of good two-way players on the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That can go a long way in a quick tournament like this with guys who can just shut a team down. That could frustrate a highly offensive team.
Yeah, and it could cause them to make mistakes. It could cause the defenseman to get caught.
Right.
That could happen.
This roster might be tailor-made for a Tortorella. You have really great goaltending, and then you have D-men who are not afraid to block shots and be physical and do what needs to be done in order to shut a team down.
They got some speed with Hughes.
Right.
They got the scoring of what's his name from Toronto.
Matthews.
I mean, they've got it all. It's hard to get past Canada with McDavid and Crosby and McKinnon on the first line. That would scare the devil out of me.
I mean,
Crosby's old.
I'll say this.
Yeah, he may be old, but you know what?
I know
those two guys.
I know. Crosby's old age seasons are some people's greatest seasons in their career. But anyway,
I'm gonna
more than a point a game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this before we jump over and talk a little bit of Flyers. The one thing that I do notice about Team Canada is they look like they would be very heavily offensive, which is obviously trouble for any team that they have to go up against. I don't know. I think they're going to struggle a little defensively. I mean, I like their defense. I like Josh Morrissey, obviously Kel McCarr, Drew Doughty, Shea Theodore kind of are like my top guys that I really like. I don't really think they have like a legit shutdown defenseman that's going to be able to really make the big blocks or the big stops that they need to. I like these guys, and I think offensively they're going to be a terror. But I see like an Edmonton Oilers team right here with Team Canada that offensively firepower all over the place. They're going to score a lot of goals, but I also think they're going to give up quite a bit as well. I think every game that they're going to be in is going to be a shootout.
I would agree with you about. Kariako is a pretty good defensive defenseman, though.
Yeah, he's one of two that I saw on this roster that I think could be good in that position. Him and Morrissey.
He could be. Him and Morrissey would be your two guys to when they're trying to protect the lead late.
And in terms of like third pairing, I mean, Sanheim actually isn't too bad defensively.
No, Sanheim and maybe Taves on your third pair.
Yeah, I don't think that's not bad. Yeah.
I see
that would be a first pairing in the NHL.
I see a lot of offense on this roster, and I think they're going to be solid defensively. I just think they're going to have to rely heavily on offense to win games.
Yeah,
especially with this goaltending.
Yeah, they're going to have to score 5 goals a game, which they could do.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely could do. But I'll tell you what, if you can somehow stay out of the penalty box against this team, you got a chance. But if you start taking dumb penalties against this team, you're going to get smoked.
To answer Heather's question, yes, we are getting snow. And SJM, whatever Heather said, so that means that you believe Canada will win it. Anyway.
No, SJM, USA, USA, USA.
Yeah, I'm rooting for
Go.
the United States, by the way. Just because I'm thinking Canada's going to win, that doesn't mean that I'm just being honest.
Show national pride. Let's go.
Right. So let's see here. So
I mean, all my Rangers are on the USA. Come on.
right, I think you got like one on another team.
I think I got one Duck representing, and he's in.
That's always been the
I
case
got one-
too.
I got
Back
one on
to
Sweden
going
and
until I
one-
was a kid. The Rangers were always drafted American players like Richter, Graves. You know what I mean? They were always on Team USA. I was like, damn it. I got to root for these motherfuckers.
Don't forget the biggest one of them all, Leach.
Yep.
Beach,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
best American-born defenseman of all time.
Truth.
right,
Truth.
if Madonna was the best,
I didn't
forward
say
for
I
that
should have.
time-
That should have been the first thing that came out of my mouth.
I mean, if
Ah.
Leach was
It's
the
okay.
best if Madonna was the best forward of that era for US, Leach was the best D man of that era for the
Oh,
US.
I agree.
I mean, goaltending wise, I don't think anyone beats Richter. I mean, maybe Barrasso, because Barrasso was American, but he's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
I think
right
Barrasso
now.
was better than Richter.
Just by a hair, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not by a lot, but Richter sometimes on long shots stand out.
Oh, trust me, Hexy did it too. So
I know. But he did. I mean, he did win the Stanley Cup that one year,
Right.
against Vancouver.
Right.
In the third period, he stood in his head. I don't think the Rangers, after the Rangers had a 3-1 lead, I don't think they even had a shot in the third period. It didn't feel like it. That was like the longest. That was like the longest 18 minutes of my life in that third period.
Yeah, I'm sure those 18 minutes felt like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So let's see here. As we transition on, talk about some trade rumors. Ooh, look at the time. All right, let's get some trade talk in before we jump off here. So, rumor mill's been flying around, obviously, talking about Scott Lawton. It seems like it's a routine thing every year. However, though, there has been rumors that some heating up of the talks this go around, as opposed to just theories. It seems like there's a little bit more legitimacy to the talks this year. So
the Rangers are in on him now.
So with that, gentlemen, let's talk about it. Where do we think Scott Lawton could possibly go? And do we think that, obviously I would have to assume we're trying to send him to a playoff team that would look to add to depth to their roster, because Scott Lawton will be a lower six player, but he's a good lower six player who brings leadership quality, hence why he wears the A in Philadelphia. So what do you feel, gentlemen? Where do you think he winds up going?
I hate to say it, but I think he's going to end up with the Rangers.
Nah.
I would suck. I would hate to see Lawton in a Rangers jersey.
Just trying to.
They traded before.
I know.
No,
I know.
That's not exactly why I don't think he'll go to the Rangers.
Well,
I
the
just
Rangers
don't know.
need a third line center. Right.
I
now,
just don't think the
because
Rangers are going to have
Zibanejad's
what they
been
want to give
shifted
up.
to right wing.
I don't know if the Rangers are going to have what the Flyers are wanting in return for him.
That's possible.
That's the only reason why I don't see him going to the Rangers. I can see him going to. He's been linked heavily to Toronto and Winnipeg.
Mhm.
I don't see him going to Toronto either for the same reason I don't see him going to the Rangers.
I could see him going to Winnipeg before I see him going to Toronto.
Bingo.
Because
And here's
Winnipeg does have some young players in their
Interesting.
system, and they've got their draft choices, and they've also got
Yes.
they've also got a couple of veterans that are signed for more than 1 year that the Flyers could bring over.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, there's one player in particular that I will love to. Well, all right, maybe two. They're both play center. Both are extremely young. Both are. I think one signed his ELC, and then the other has not yet. So I'm looking for one of two players and a draft pick in return for Scott Lawton. I'm looking for either Braden Yeager, who I know just got traded over there in the Rutger McGroarty trade. And I'm also looking for Brad Lambert, who is both very young centers. Brad Lambert has been around a little bit longer, and I think Yeager has a bigger upside, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. If the Flyers can get Braden Yeager, very good, solid potential second or third line centerman for the Flyers in the future, and give me a mid-round pick, I'll take a third. I would try and see if I can get a second, but I will take a third.
I was going to say, if you're asking for a second and Yeager, that's
let's
a
go.
lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, but they want a first for
Yeah, but
Walton.
they're kidding themselves. They're kidding themselves about that, though.
Well, everybody said the same thing about Sean Walker. They got a first for Sean Walker too.
Yeah, but he's a defenseman.
The centermen are so rare right now. Like, it's so hard to get a really good veteran centerman.
I get that, but he's not a scoring centerman. He's like a third, fourth line player. He's a really good third and fourth line player. But he is he's more of a top nine than that. He's not a top three though.
Well, I'm going to go back to the argument I just used and say they got a first for Sean Walker, who's a third pairing defenseman.
To be fair,
Colorado, yes.
On any team.
Now,
everything
to be fair,
that he played on, he was a third line. He was a third pairing defender. It's not a seventh man. True.
To be fair,
that helped a lot.
To be fair, though, I think the thing to note too is Winnipeg currently is leading the pack. So if that holds as we go down the home stretch of the season, then that first round pick really is going to be a much lower pick. So you could argue and say that their first really wouldn't be as big of a deal to give up, as opposed to say if you totally lose your mind and a team that's currently bottom feeding right now, like say the Sharks, say, yeah, we'll give you our first for Scott Lawton. That'd be downright stupid of them to do. So
yeah, and that's kind of the thing, though, Maddie, is why they were able to get that first for Sean Walker, is because they went to a playoff contender, cup contender, and said, hey, we have a really good defenseman who's having a great year. We want your first for him. And they said, okay, we know we're going to be in the bottom 10, maybe bottom 8 as far as the draft pick goes. They actually wound up being lower. There's good value there. And I think you can get that for a player like Scott Lawton. But I'm not necessarily sure I want the first. I want a guy who's ready, on borderline NHL ready, and like a Braden Yeager or a Brad Lambert with the mid pick.
Yeager or Lambert are guys that you could definitely get.
But think about this, though. But think about this, guys. You already have, 2 picks in the first round already for the Flyers. 3. So think about this. If you got an even later pick in the first round, say you threw up 2 of those in a trade. Think about how tempting that would be for a GM in a deep draft to look at 2 first-round picks that you could argue and say, okay, Danny's got a lot of ammunition to now go to another GM and say, hey, let's talk about something here. So I think that there might be, if you could snag a first, even if it's going to be number 30 or number 31, if you could package that with another pick that you have a little bit higher up on the board, you might be able to go to a GM and talk to them a little bit about, hey, let's work out something for a player that we would really like to have here in Philly.
Wyatt Johnson.
Just saying.
Your boy Rossi that you guys always want.
Right.
They have an opportunity. They have to offer sheet him, though.
True.
Well, Minnesota could still trade him.
They already said they're not going to. But if the Flyers are going to get him, they'll have to offer sheet him. They have the picks that get compensation back in the other way.
You never know, though.
I mean, it's just a thing. It's just maybe a little 4D chess possibly that Danny could be playing there, where he's thinking more along the lines of, we're not even planning on picking with this one. We're planning on using it as an incentive for a future deal. It might be. Could be. It could possibly be something like that with Lawton.
surely. I mean, but real quick, and I'll jump in and throw out my proposed deal. Some might argue, and I've read this several times over recently in Facebook groups, that the Flyers missed the boat in terms of what they could get for Lawton, right, at this point. And I think there is some truth to that. But here's how I think a deal could work with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it would have to be a mega deal. You ready for it?
Oh,
Because I think this is still realistic, though.
Okay.
Right? Scott Lawton, another Flyer that's up for trading, Rasmus Ristolainen, who's had a great season, as we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I like where this is going.
And a 2025 second rounder for right winger Easton Cohen. He's a left-handed shot. He was a 2023 first round pick, 28th overall. He's only 19, big bodied. He just had a 65 game point streak snapped with the OHL London squad. Throw in left winger Nicholas Robertson, Jason's brother, who was a second round pick in 2019, is sort of languished, but he's still 23 years old. He fits what Philadelphia is doing here. And then you throw in David Camp in there as a salary piece to make the deal work money-wise. He's a cap hit of $2.4 million, and when paired with Robertson, he equates to what Scott Lutz is making. And then the Flyers eat the rest of Risto's salary, but have him off the books for the next 2 seasons. So it frees up their off-season spendability come next offseason, as Danny and Jonesy have hinted towards. So I mean, it's a lot to give up, but if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, right, you're getting a bottom 6 solid guy that could really build. You already have your top 6 solidified, but a guy that could grind out games come playoff time, a big body defenseman. These are 2 things that they need to ultimately claim a prize that has, fleeted them for quite some time. And what are they really giving up? I mean, yeah, Easton Cohen is the prize here, right? But after that, you're giving up an aging center iceman and another type of change of scenery deal in Nicholas Robertson, kind of a la what we just got from Calgary. So I think it could work.
Yeah.
The only problem, I'm sorry, Maddie.
That's
no.
Is what happens if they decide to trade Marner, where they don't sign Marner? That's the kid that's gonna replace him. And remember, he's a free agent.
I mean, that does change things, but I don't think that's going to change what they're trying to accomplish this season.
Mm-mm.
But ultimately, that's okay. Yeah. So if you don't have plans to re-sign Marner, you want to hold on to a kid who's been a proven point scorer at the OHL level. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that would, because otherwise, I think this deal could happen like during this tournament. I mean, maybe they need to wait for Risto to check out health wise. All right, but yeah, if they don't think they're going to realistically be able to re-sign Marner, then maybe that's a deal Toronto would not do. You make a good point.
Just because it happened with what's his name, the guy that Colorado traded to the Canes.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get a deal done right now. They're even talking about possibly trading him again at the deadline if he decides he doesn't want to sign there. This free agency could be wild. But I might be able to see this deal getting done regardless if Marner doesn't re-sign with the Leafs, because at some point the Leafs are going to have to reset the salary cap anyway, because they are high already. I think it said they are pretty much. Give me 1 second. I gotta scroll back up here.
I think they're at the cap wall. Yeah,
they are at the cap. So,
but that's a cap that's supposed to increase the next 2 seasons too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The one thing I will completely agree with is I think Lawton gets traded within the next 2 weeks. I think he gets traded during this break. There's just too much heat coming up between these 2 teams. I do like the Robertson part of the deal because he's an RFA at the end of the year. So if things don't go their way, and I know we talked about this, I think earlier this year, You can just basically not tender him and he hits free agency. The other guy, Camp, you said, his roster or his contract is not on here. Interesting.
Should be about 2.5 mil.
Yeah.
Cap hit of 2.5 mil.
Where's he at?
He'd be better than Gauthier at center ice down, so he can have a use this season too. So
yeah, for sure. There he is. Okay, so yeah, that would definitely help with the cap. Having the 2.4 for over the next 3 seasons. He is still 30, so that's not necessarily a bad move. The only thing that I don't like about it is that he's got a modified no trade clause over the next, this season and next season, and then he's pretty much eligible to go wherever teams want him to go. But it's an interesting trade, I tell you that. That was not where I thought you were going to go. I was waiting to hear hearing a bigger name, not even Marner. I was waiting to hear Nylander.
No, yeah, right. That's not that level of a mega deal, but blockbuster nonetheless. But I think, this is going to be a wild free agency, both league wide as well as in Philadelphia, because you're going to see a lot of flipping. We might even see Kuzmenko get flipped. You were talking about Rantanen before, getting flipped too. So there's a lot of moving parts, and ultimately, what you want to do is you want to either acquire picks or turn maybe some of your picks into guys that have proven it at the OHL level. That's why I'm interested in Cohen from Toronto.
Right.
What would you think, Robbie, about Fraser Minton instead of Easton Cohen? Same spot, just a year older.
Yeah.
Second round pick, 38th overall.
Yeah, okay. Include him, and then the Flyers keep their pick and just trade the 2 vets.
Okay.
Then I'd be down.
Okay. All right.
So let's see. Swoopy saying Flyers do need guys who will be with the team through it all, the ups and downs, not just the new vets coming. Obviously, Coots will be forced to stay, so he'll be one, but more out of the force than choice because of the contract. Let's see. Who else is talking here? Got Heather's comment on Crosby here. I'm surprised Crosby's even playing. I heard the reason why he didn't play against the Flyers is because his throat was sore, even though you'd think he'd be used to it by now. Well said, Heather, I must say. Well worded. I would accept.
It was listed as an upper body injury that he was nursing, but no, he was getting ready for this tournament. At his point, at this point of his career, it's just right. It's like these are the last. This is like seeing like Jeter playing that All-Star game late in his career. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're going to get because it's on a bigger stage, right? And you can further cement your legacy.
Right. Swoopy saying Flyers need pass first playmaking center. Yes, wingers will score too, but pair the scoring wingers with pass first playmaking centers.
Right. And that's where my proposed deal fails because it's getting stronger on the wing, and then you're getting weaker at center again. We traded Frost, now we're trading Lawton, right? I really think Danny's going to attack this draft at the center ice position. And they've already done it in terms of bigger bodies, and you're going to see it further done, and that might, might have to wait for them to get up to this level, but depends on what pick we're picking at. If you can reach and get one of the higher center icemen in this draft, then maybe you can get another guy that can play from day one.
Yeah, I'm enough playmakers. I know what you're saying, Swoop. The entire roster is playmakers. They need guys that can score.
True.
And that's kind of where Brad Lambert kind of falls a little short because he is more of a playmaker. I mean, just looking at some of the younger guys that Winnipeg has on their roster, Braden Yeager, Colby Barlow, and Brad Lambert are the 3 guys that really kind of stick out to me. Chaz Lucius, he wouldn't be a bad pickup, but he's not a guy I would absolutely target. The only reason why I like going after a guy like Braden Yeager or even Kobe Barlow, they're waiver exempt. So you can send them up and down as much as you need to. That's where Brad Lambert kind of falls short because he's not there. He is not. He is waiver exempt. Never mind. Ignore that. Any of those guys I think will be better. They need guys who can shoot the puck. They need guys who can score. And I'd rather see those guys on the wing than at center. But
So we'd be saying Mitchkov needs a playmaker to help.
he's
him.
a playmaker.
True. We had a car bomb. We need a Jaeger bomb now.
Mhm. Yes.
Let's go.
There we go. There we go. Perfect. Swoopy's also saying Flyers need to sign any vets at positions that they have prospects at that will ruin their development and hinder their spot and block them. They've done enough of it for so long. Hayes, JVR, and many others. And then Mike was throwing out, do they trade Kolosov at the deadline? I would say probably not.
I don't think so.
I would be really shocked.
Well, with him actually reporting to the AHL and not giving the Flyers any issues and actually taking the position, I don't see him being traded now. I think that he's going to take the time, learn, be a really good teammate, and take advantage of his time and work at becoming an NHL goalie.
Right. Mike's saying, what about a Luchenko bomb?
Yeah.
That sounds painful.
Well, I was writing before in the chat. I was saying I wouldn't be surprised to see Jet back before the end of the season, man, because he's been lighting up the OHL like nobody's business. And I think we did clear some space by trading some guys that were going to clog it up. Maybe they were still young, but they were still clogging it because, in terms of a talent and valuation level, we got guys better than Frost and Farabee in this system.
Yeah, I agree.
Make that deal.
But Jet unfortunately can't come back up this year because he got sent back to juniors. Yeah. Because he went back to juniors.
Because we reached the max with his games too,
Right.
on top of it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. But is this his last year in juniors? I forget. How old is he?
Oh, I don't think he's going back next year. I think once he's up, he's up. I think he's proved enough at the junior level. He needs to start proving it at the NHL. Only reason he didn't stay up was because he didn't have the spots and the consistent minutes for him. It's the only reason he got sent down.
Right.
And Swoopy was saying, Brian, over a month ago, you were saying Flyers need playmakers. Well, you were saying it wasn't just about snipers. I'm so confused.
There's nothing to be confused about. Look at the roster. They're all playmakers. They have playmakers. They need snipers. I don't recall saying that they need playmakers. They need snipers. They need guys who can shoot the puck. Things change in that span.
Besides that, and Mike says Barkey could come up and so could Bonk.
No, they cannot. They're in juniors still. Once they hit juniors and they get sent down, they cannot come back up. They're not on the AHL roster.
Yeah, I forgot. I plumb forgot that. I looked at Kolosov's numbers. He's putting up about steady the same numbers he was putting up at the NHL level. 365 goals against, 847, I believe I saw, save percentage. So it's still a work in progress, and I don't think that's going to win you much trade appeal.
Probably not. Potential or whatnot aside, but again, also with Kolosov and with Fedotov, both of them, it's still very early in their career. They're rookies. It's like let them mature a little bit.
We saw flashes. We saw the flashes you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, hell, when the season started and we had Urson go down with that injury, Fedotov was looking rough, and Kolosov had to get picked up, and Kolosov was actually calming down things a little bit, and then it reversed. Then Kolosov was having problems, and now Fedotov seems to be more under control. So it just goes to show you how it's working this year. These are rookies. This shit's going to happen. Roller coaster. Heather's also saying, forgot to tell you guys, I'm going to my first Flyers Carnival on the 23rd. Congrats to you. And I get to meet Fedotov and Torts. I can't even. Oh, I'm sure you are so excited for that, Heather.
Oh,
Listen,
poor them. They're probably not going to sign up to do the carnival next year after this.
yeah, I don't know what they're in
You
for.
guys are so mean.
I don't think they know what they're in for at all.
If I got to be Torts, I would hope that I could get a 5-second film clip of him telling me I had a stupid question.
Yes, that would be perfect. That is absolutely what
That's
you should
all
do.
I need.
Yes, yes. Just ask him something really stupid.
Oh, he still says that, huh?
Oh yeah,
All right.
he
That's a
did it
stupid question. Next question. No, the other one was next question.
right. He
Yeah.
did that. He did that not that long ago because somebody said something about him and Mitchkov, and then he basically shut that down immediately. Anyway. Whew. All right, boys. So I guess it is time for us to. By the way, Heather says for you to shut up, Bry.
That's not the first time or the last time I'll hear that.
And Mike said he'll be at the carnival too. So good for you, Mike. So we thank everybody for joining us for this edition,
Wait, what day is the carnival?
23rd of August, I believe, is what she
Okay,
said.
so if on the 23rd, what day is that? A Saturday?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to check that real quick. 23rd is a Sunday. Okay, so I'll be home, and I'm not far from Philly. If I absolutely hear anybody screaming or anything, I'll know exactly when Heather meets Ivan Fedotov because I will be able to hear her scream from Philly.
Yeah. So we thank everybody for joining us once again here on Flyers Talk A2D. From everybody out there, Heather, Mike, Benny, Swoopy, we love you guys. Everybody out there, thank you very much for being with us tonight, as you always are. We appreciate it. Unfortunately, as I looked ahead on the schedule, there'll be no Four Nations games for us to do live reactions to, of course.
I think they're Thursday?
Wednesday and Monday, and
Can't we preview the
They're
championship
like every
game
other
though?
day.
we can preview it. It's just that it's unfortunate that we don't have
Yeah, that
one
would have been nice.
to
That
live
would've been
react
fun.
to. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Anyway, so even though we won't have a game to live react to, we will be able to at least go through the games and see what we see in the tournament, and hopefully have some highlights from some of the Flyers that are in there as well, and hopefully some big highlights for Team USA. So we thank everybody for joining us once again here on A2DRadio.com. Once again, Flyers Talk A2D brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. And we will hope to see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there who is in a relationship or is married or what have you. Hopefully you guys enjoy your day with each other if you are celebrating it.
I will not be.
Yeah, well, some do, some don't.
Do I have a choice?
Some are festive, some aren't. It's just the way it is. But anyway, we thank everybody for joining us. We'll see you next week. Peace and love, everyone.
Harrison, top 10 save, a highest save percentage. Look out.